All right, guys, back on Southeastern 16 with Max Barr. Another live reaction SEC basketball. Had a pretty smooth night on Monday night, Max. We're not used to those just yet.
Nope.
Sometimes you get some games that are a little bit rocky, and not to say a couple of these weren't, but yeah, not the most noteworthy evening of action in SEC basketball. But the reason we're doing this is because we will talk about a few tidbits coming out of Monday's games, but also want to add a few more thoughts on the big game on Tuesday, Duke and Kentucky, as well as South Carolina's going to play Towson, Georgia, North Florida, which more interesting than we thought it would be, Max.
Yep.
The
Yep.
Ospreys, 2 wins
Yep.
here, Georgia Tech and South Carolina. Mississippi State plays Southeastern and Louisiana. Ole Miss plays South Alabama, and Texas plays Chicago State. Spreads on those as you would expect. Very hefty spreads for some of those games. So,
Not
all
the
right.
not the Towson game.
Well, not that game. Yeah, that is one I think that's a little bit more fascinating based on maybe what we've seen from the Gamecocks at this point. But quickly, let's tell you about our friends at BetOnline real quick, then we'll talk about the action. BetOnline, the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting, earliest odds to in-game live betting. BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch games as they happen. Largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, MMA. It's all there. Head to BetOnline today. Get on the action. America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline. The game starts here. All right, Max, where do you want to start? How about we start with the Crimson Tide? Because
Yeah, I was just gonna say
a
that.
lot of people, our preseason number one team in the SEC, they've since moved out of that spot. If you watch our power rankings on Monday, they no longer occupy that position. And then, they sort of snuck by Arkansas State a little bit. They're able to hang on against the Fighting Will Wades of McNeese, and Alabama wins at 72-64. Thoughts, Max? Or should we be concerned about the Crimson Tide? Or is this just a product of, hey, you're not playing teams that you expect to beat by 30-plus points anymore? Like, that was pretty much done after game one. You're playing pretty respectable mid-major teams in Arkansas State and McNeese. Now the competition steps up a bit. Thoughts coming out of this game for Alabama?
Well, first off, I think it's good to be tested by these back-to-back solid mid-majors before you go into that gauntlet. Imagine they just had, just walk in the parks, and then you get, asked some of these questions that are being asked right now in these games in a big time, quad one game that could really move you forward. It's hard to put my finger on because I'm watching the game and they're, up 15, up 20. And then you turn around and it's like, wait, it's down to 8. Wait, now it's down to 6. What the heck is going on here? I couldn't really nail it down to one specific thing. You're not getting consistency really out of your shooters. One night Latrell Wrightsell and Mark Sears can't get it going. They go like 1 for 15. Then the next night you got Holloway going 0 for 5, Stevenson going 0 for 5, Philon going 0 for 2. So it's just like a little bit discombobulated, not a lot of flow, not a lot of structure. But I thought Grant Nelson had a fantastic game. Big Cliff, while he didn't add too much production offensively, still's got those, 3 blocks, 4 offensive rebounds. Tough to, nail something down here, though, Blake. Anything sticking out to you?
Well, that's what Big Baller Brett just said. It's going to be, like I said, the 8 minutes without a field goal. How long is it? Was it maybe Chris asked us that in the chat, the thread, the text thread? How long is it? I don't remember the last time Alabama went that long without a field goal. Not in this era. That ain't Oates era. You just feel like they've always found a way to get points on the board. By the way, Kentucky fans checking in. Don't worry. We'll talk about that again here in just a minute. But, yeah, I think that's it. Like, and look, Big Baller Brett bringing up an interesting point, too, here about just how the rotations are working out without Chris Youngblood right now. And, everybody had our fun with us this summer. We're like, we're Chris Youngblood guys. But, like, I think you see the value he's going to bring is, like, someone who can just – he can offer exactly, I think, what they need right now. And I feel like that has certainly been a missing piece so far through 3 games. Although, let's not overreact. They did beat UNC Asheville by 50-plus or whatever. And even though I do think Arkansas State and McNeese are 2 teams that have a great chance to make the NCAA tournament just based on, winning their conferences and such. So I don't want to go too far, but I think they're missing Youngblood, that's for sure. I think the other obvious one I mean, you mentioned like the shooting to this point. I mean, Alabama is shooting 30.1% from three so far this season. They went 6 of 31 against Arkansas State, and now they come back here. They go 11 of 34. So I mean, that's 32%. Yes, they hit 11, but they also shoot a lot. We just know that that's Alabama.
Yeah.
So I think that is something. And going with the big starting lineup, as Big Baller Brett mentioned, I mean, how many teams we see start 3, 6, 11 guys, Max,
Yeah.
right? And so I think you will see some changes potentially in terms of how they rotate guys. And again, it's having Wrightsell and Sears kind of manning your shooting. And as long as that continues and you can get a little bit more consistency there, Holloway unable to find, kind of a rhythm here, 05 just said. So I'm not overreacting to Alabama just yet. Do they look like the number one team in the country or number two team in the country right now? No. But do I still think the upside is there for them to be there? Of course. But they've not been as crisp as we would have expected. And I think also you mentioned, to have a 20-point lead in the second half and to have that thing just sort of dwindle, Alabama's going to get everybody's best shot based on the fact that they're a Final Four team last year and they have such high expectations. So I think that can also be a consistency, a mindset type thing with this team. They got to realize like they are not just going to sit around and teams are just going to kind of let up, right, when they're playing Alabama. Everybody thinks that this is their huge game now because you're playing a team like this that's ranked as high as Alabama. You can be the one to knock them off. And now we know, I mean, these next 3 games are the ultimate test to see where this team's at. Purdue on the road on Friday. They got Illinois next Wednesday and then Houston the following Tuesday.
Yeah, and hey, we have Auburn fan in here with a fantastic point. Fantastic point. Not even throwing a jab across to the rival, just a great point. I think Bama misses Estrada. We haven't really mentioned that a lot, and I don't know how much they miss him, but it's just different, right? Like he was that creator, that kind of almost who was the guy for Penn State? Pickett, I think it was, with the booty ball, kind of, the Jalen Brunson. It opens up the offense and stuff, makes them collapse. And so I think that's a great point. Just learning how to play this offense without Estrada. You have kind of Wrightsell and Holloway or Philon who's playing off of Sears instead of Estrada. A little bit different. Take some time to gel.
Yeah, I mean, I try to hesitate because I don't want to make too much of this, but I think, right now, the biggest part coming out of these last 2 games is really what have they learned? As they played these last couple games, shots just don't fall sometimes. I mean, that's an obvious takeaway, but, what does this Alabama team learn that they're going to carry into these next 3 games, knowing how tough these matchups are against these teams, Purdue, Illinois, and Houston. And I think that's going to be, what do we see here? Because look, if Alabama comes out and drops all 3 games, well, then we got an issue. Like there's something where it's like, okay, maybe it's not just not having Chris Youngblood. Like maybe we see that the shooting doesn't, come up to where we think it's going to, although I think it will get there. But you're going to be playing teams that, again, are not going to be the easiest to play against. So, and anything else, Max, on Alabama, I don't want to go too far because I feel like this is kind of that point 1 week into the season where we're trying to find things to pick apart for, a team that is 3-0 right now and was ranked in the top 5 to start the season. But I think, as we said, they're far from where they're going to be probably even a month from now, maybe 2 months from now once Youngblood's officially back. But yeah, it's just it's been different and maybe not as convincing, so far, just based on these last couple games being closer than expected.
Yeah, but I'm right there with you where you said you're not taking too much from it. I really want to see what they look like with Youngblood. And I think in the long run, when we're talking February here, we're going to look back on this time and we're going to say, wow, that really helped them out getting Philon all those big minutes, throwing Reed right into the fire, stuff like that. It might look a little rough right now, but I think in the long run, it's going to help them out. Once Youngblood comes back and is fully healthy, and you have all these younger guys that have already had all these, I mean, they're going to have experience against Purdue, Illinois, Houston, all this stuff. So that'll help them in the long run.
Yep. So there you go. Alabama wins 72-64 over McNeese, as we said. Purdue, Illinois, Houston up next, and then still games on the schedule at North Carolina, Creighton, and so forth. So, yeah, we'll learn more about this team over the next couple weeks, to say the least. So, all right, Max, next thing you want to go to on the slate. Florida beats Grambling. How about we go to the Gators, who were ranked in our top 5 in our power rankings this week. 86-62 went over Grambling. Of course, Grambling took Ole Miss to the wire whenever that was, Friday, Saturday, whatever day. But, yeah, Florida looks really good here. And, obviously there was great reaction for Todd Golden. We still, again, are kind of waiting to see what happens with that whole process. But the Gators, very balanced effort here against the Tigers of Grambling. I think they had, what was it, 5? I want to say 7 or 8 players between, I think, 8 and 14 points. So very, very balanced attack for the Gators.
Yeah, this is a rock-solid 8-man rotation. I really like it. They're just, what you're going to get from this Florida team. Will Richard continues to be impressive. He continues to get overshadowed by the other key guards there. I mean, Walter Clay and Elijah Martin are fantastic, but hey, we got to give Will Richard his flowers. 5 steals. He's underrated defensively as well. And then, Condon's breakout, Chinielo having a good offensive game. I'd like to see him rebound a little bit better, but that'll come along. We got our guy Tommy, and Sam Alexis looks great. Honestly, right now, my favorite lineup for Florida, Clayton, Martin, Richard, Condon, and Alexis. I really like that lineup. But then also Denzel Aberdeen just looks more and more comfortable. What do you have? 22 minutes. So, yeah, I mean, Blake, I just, what a contrast. We're going from talking about Alabama, the lineup is, we got to get this guy back. We're feeling out this and that. Florida, you know what you're getting from this team.
They're defending, man. That's the difference. Like, you go back to last year, right? Like, one of those things where we talked about the defense for Florida last year and the numbers were not always pretty. But so far, especially these last couple games, and like we said, it will pick up as the opponents get better. They have an interesting game at Florida State on Friday, which I think Florida should win that game. I know it's a rivalry game, but from what I've seen from Florida State so far, I think Florida's clearly the better team right now. But, they're defending better, and I think that's a big part of this. Like last year, we talked about how tough it was. I mean, you could point to the NCAA tournament game, right, as the ultimate, my goodness. Yep. Like, we score 100 points and we don't win. Like, how often is that going to happen? And so I think that's where we knew the defense had to be better, like you said, Richard, racking up steals. And yeah, I'm with you. I think I like the rotation right now. It seems pretty clear of kind of what, and I think this was kind of what we expected in terms of, you looked at this team on paper, these were the guys who were going to get the minutes, and they are. And so I think Florida may be the team we're not talking enough about in terms of the on-court product right now. But I mean, there's a reason for that, right? I mean, they've only played 3 games. They've beaten teams the way they should beat them. And I think, like we said, I'm curious to see what they do on Friday at Florida State, because I think that's a game they should win. And it would be a nice one for the Gators, because then you really start to look ahead and you're thinking, all right, look, this team is in a pretty good spot in terms of like looking ahead at their non-conference schedule and seeing a lot of potential victories there as it stands right now. So.
Yeah, and also just one thing to note, this is a Florida team that's scored now 98, 81, and 86, and they are shooting the ball terribly by their standards. They're shooting 26% as a team, putting up these offensive numbers. Martin is 4 of 15 right now. Will Richards 4 of 18 right now. Those guys are going to be shooting much better. So good things to come for Florida. This team is on the rise for me. I'm liking them.
On the rise are the Gators. Elsewhere, we will talk about some of the other positives, Max, and then one more thing coming out of this. Texas A&M 97, Lamar 71, Oklahoma 73, Northwestern State 57. I'm going to save Missouri for last. We'll talk about that one separately, but let me just give you the floor for your 2 minutes of Zurich Phelps, and we'll continue from there.
Aggie Nation, I'm here for you. I told you after the UCF game, I said, just put on the brakes. We're going to be all right. Look at us now. Hey, Blake, quick question. How did the SEC do against the spread last night?
Not great.
Pretty sure only one team covered. It was the Aggies. Oh, man. Look at the Aggies. Okay, all kidding aside, though, Phelps looked great. He got the Ken Palm MVP. Do the little MVPs every game. He looks fast. 3 steals both games. He's got 6 steals in 2 games. The shooting's not gonna have anything to do with the shooting. Shooting's still gonna be an issue, but I think the defense getting out in transition, that's gonna be a little bit better. And then his ability to create and not just have Wade Taylor having to do everything. But I mean, it's Lamar. I'm not gonna take too much. They got a big game on Friday against Ohio State. That's gonna tell a lot.
Texas A&M only has 1 game, I think, until about Christmas time. That they are, I mean, their schedule. We talk about schedules. Maybe this is not one that's not talked about enough. Ohio State on Friday, Southern next Wednesday, Oregon, Creighton, San Diego State, Wake Forest, Texas Tech, Purdue. Woo.
Jeez.
We're going to learn about the Aggies, too, here pretty soon. So, starts with Friday's game against Ohio State, who have looked really good so far, as we know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's a big game for the Aggies, and, yeah, many more big games to come in non-conference play for this Texas A&M team. So, we'll see what they're made of. Again, any thoughts on Oklahoma, Max? I didn't really gather. Watched a little bit of that game. Can't say I watched it from start to finish. I know they trailed. What were they? They were down at halftime, which is not what you want to see. But they wind up winning by 16 over Northwestern State.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they have 2 guys out. Oh, yes, and I had it written. It was Jaden Jones.
Who was the other one?
And someone else was out. Oh, I can't believe I'm blanking right now.
Hold on, I'll find it.
Yeah, but so they're shorthanded right now, but Jalen Moore continues to impress. I'm really high on him. But yeah, they were actually down by 8. They were down 40-32, and then come back and wallop them the last 15 minutes. But very short rotation. I think they only played like 6 guys. Yeah, Muhammad Wagi got 12 minutes as the 7th man. So, I mean, it was 6 guys were playing the entire game, and Jalen Moore even fouled out. So, I don't know how much I want to take. They're pretty banged up right now.
I'm still trying to find who is missing, and I don't know why I can't connect the dots on who is not in the 2 lineups that I'm seeing for these first 2 games. No, not him. That's going to drive me nuts if I can't find this. All right, I'll let you work on that, Max, because for some reason I can't figure out who they're missing. But anyways, okay, let's go on to Missouri. Because
Bryson Godine.
Is that it? Are you sure?
Yep, Godine and Jaden Jones. Those are the 2 guys that are missing.
Why can
2 of their shooters. So it's 2 of their shooters. 2 of their shooters out.
Well, still, there's no reason to be trailing by 8 in the second half.
Yeah, I know.
But speaking of, all right, let's talk about Missouri real quick, and then we're going to talk Kentucky too a little bit more before tonight's game. Okay, so. Speaking of betting against the spread, Max knows I put in a bet last night on a certain team. I will not reveal what that bet was, but Missouri wins 84-77 over Eastern Washington. And Max was giving me in the text thread yesterday the history of Eastern Washington basketball. And he was talking about, what was his name? Was it Tyler Harvey?
Tyler Harvey, nation's leading scorer, 2015.
Nation's leading scorer at Eastern Washington in 2015. I said, you know what's going to happen? He's going to suit up in this game for Eastern Washington 9 years after the fact. But that didn't happen. But still, this was one where Missouri got off to a slow start. Eastern Washington came out, handled some business early on. They jumped out to, I think, 12-4, something like that. Yep. Like 4 minutes into the game, you're thinking, uh-oh, not a great start here. But Missouri winds up leading by 15. This game got much closer than that. Down the stretch, Eastern Washington started to mount a bit of a comeback, and I mean, this was the Caleb Grill game. There's no other way to put it. I know some people were talking about Caleb Grill coming out of the first game or the first couple games because he really didn't do a whole lot, and there were some people I think frustrated and wondering, okay, what is his role in this team? Well, here's the deal: if Caleb Grill can go 8 of 10 every night, that guy should never step off the floor on this team because. This team, as we said, just is not going to be able to shoot it well this season. And I know you can be like, well, hey, they went 10 of 18 here. They proved you guys wrong. They shot 56% from 3. Remember, Caleb Grill was one of those guys, 8 of 10. I didn't see that coming, Max, but he's not going to go 8 of 10 every night. But if this guy can give them 3 or 4 threes a night, that is going to make a significant difference. I know the score differential here, game way closer than it should have been. Missouri's defense is still an issue. I think there are still some issues clearly overall. They're still turning the ball over, but I think if we're going to just try to be optimistic here moving forward, the fact that Caleb Grill shot the ball like that, that's going to give him some confidence because this team needs some confidence shooting the ball moving forward. I'm still concerned overall. It's not come together just yet. Can't say I'm surprised by that, but they're playing a lot of guys, right? And we knew that was going to happen to try to figure out the right rotations. But you'll take a win any way you get it, but they certainly have to be better in a lot of areas, and defending the three's not been great either for this team, but the Caleb Grill game, maybe this can propel them forward in a good way.
Yeah, great game from Grill, but if you told me Caleb Grill was going to have 33 points, I would have said Missouri would win by at least, so a little bit concerning there. The rotation's still making my head scratch. I don't know what to expect game to game yet. Boateng gets the start and then doesn't come back out on the floor. Jacob Cruz shoots one shot the whole game. Peyton Marshall gets 5 minutes. Marquise Warwick gets 2 minutes. So I'm holding off. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I don't know.
It's not my favorite thing. Again, everyone, even as the Dennis Gates aficionado, it's not my favorite thing. Because you can't really make it out just yet. But do I think the ceiling's as high right now as I thought it would be? No. I think it's not coming together yet. But I think someone said earlier too, we were talking about Alabama. It doesn't matter what it looks like right now. It matters what it looks like a month from now, 2 months from now.
Yeah.
As you're getting into SEC play, I think if you put teams on a neutral court right now, would Missouri be favored over more than 3 or 4 SEC teams on a neutral court? No. It's just because both of these games, even the Howard game, they wind up winning by 15, but that game's much closer than the score indicated. They just pushed it away at the very end there. But yeah, so you want to see more consistency with the rotation. You want to see more consistency in terms of the shooting because, like you said, they needed a 33-point game from Caleb Grill, and the only other thing they got basically was 13 from Mark Mitchell. Everybody else was kind of, it just wasn't a lot there consistency-wise. So, I don't know. They got to figure out this rotation, and we'll see what it looks like. But, yeah, I've certainly still got some questions about the Missouri Tigers right now. So,
what else we got?
Let's see. So, we've touched on the games from Monday, and I know there's some Kentucky Duke fans in here. By the way, guys, we did preview the game. We shared our prediction, and maybe good for Kentucky fans, as we did both pick Duke in that game. But I think this is one of those things where this one, I feel like this is a game, Max, where the more I look at it, the more I'm just I go back and forth. I'm I almost just need to stop analyzing this game right now.
Yeah.
Let's just get to the game because I can tell you a bunch of reasons why this team should win or that team should win. Because I don't know that Kentucky's getting enough credit here and it's not even just looking at the spread, right? It's looking at they have looked so good, and you can say, well, the opponent matters, but we've said just from a basketball standpoint, they have they're doing some things right now in terms of execution on offense. We just have not seen Kentucky do in a long time. Even Cal's best teams didn't execute offense the way they're executing offense right now, and so I think when you look at it from that standpoint, you can see all the ways that they're going to put pressure on Duke to defend. But you can also see the same thing with Duke, and you see a juggernaut here that if Duke comes out early, Kentucky's not hitting shots, Duke can run away with this game. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's just how good Duke is. Do I think Kentucky can run away against Duke? I don't know about that unless it's just completely, 180 in terms of the shooting. Kentucky goes 17 to 35. Duke goes, 2 of 28. I don't think it's going to happen, but a lot of stuff here to digest in this game. Before we do, quickly, shout out to Mother Carol, $2 super chat. Everyone like and subscribe. We would appreciate that. And not just coming from us. That's coming from Mother Carol. So listen to her. Don't listen to us. Anyways, thoughts, Max?
Cooper Flag is really good. That's pretty much what I want. That's all, man. No, come on. It's going to be a great game. I'm excited for it. Would I be surprised if Kentucky makes 14 threes and wins this thing? No. They've looked fantastic. Would it surprise me if Duke wins by 37? Okay, maybe that much it would surprise me, but it would have surprised me. It would have surprised me if Duke, wins, pretty handily and is in control of this game. No, it would not. I don't think people give Tyrese Proctor enough credit. He's been there 3 years now next to Roach. He's a really good ball handler. What do we got? 87, 81? No. Vegas would make a call there. Something with a what's the spread at now, Blake? 6? Is it down to 6?
I had moved to 6 as the last time I checked it. I don't know where it's at now, but it was at 6 the last time I checked.
Because we were seeing 7.5s. We were seeing.
I'll find it again. I'll look it up right now.
Yeah. But so I don't think people give everyone talks about Cooper Flagg, Con Knipple, and the big man, but not a lot of people give any credit to Tyrese Proctor, Caleb Foster, even Sion James has looked good. So, I mean, I don't know. We broke down the game for like 20 minutes on the video. There's not much else for us to say. There's a few other matchups I'm looking at. I talked about Amari Williams against Malawash and how Amari Williams might have the edge there. But then you go down a position and Flagg against Andrew Carr or Almanor. It's going to be a battle in the front court, battle in the back court, two contrasting styles also, though. Didn't you say whoever wins, like the first 5-10 minutes probably wins this game?
I think the first 5 to 10 minutes are crucial for Kentucky because I think it's you want to see Kentucky getting open shots in the first 5 to 10 minutes, and you want to see them making those open shots because, like, again, Duke is the kind of team where you could say this for any game, but Duke's the kind of team where you have to make them pay. If you get open shots, like, make them pay for it because they're going to score. And, like, yes, we talked about, like, Owe and Butler, what they're doing defensively, but, like, Duke's going to score some points here. I'd be stunned if Duke winds up with 65 in this game, right? I just don't think that's going to happen. Like, I think they're going to put some points up on the board. But I also think Kentucky can too, and that's where I think you want to see Kentucky execute the way they've executed, right? Because it's big. The bright lights are here, Max. Like this isn't just the first 2 games. Like crowd, you're going to have a lot of Duke fans, you're going to have a lot of Kentucky fans, and so those kind of things come into play here. Can you still execute your offense the way they've executed it the first 2 games in the friendly confines of Rupp Arena? That's what I want to see from Kentucky in the first 10 minutes of this game. If they can do that, I feel really good about their chances to win. Because if you're just going through the game and you're just executing, Duke's not going. I mean, Duke's great. They're so talented. But nobody wants to sit there and just have to try to figure out what am I going to do on this next set. Because Kentucky's just running me all over the place, making me defend. And even though Kentucky's playing an up-tempo style, they're still going at a pretty fast rate in terms of like the half-court stuff, where they're running their stuff and they're getting their shots. That's what I want to see early on, and I think that's a big part of this. And something else Matt brought up here, and you and I had this discussion yesterday, maybe even off the video. He says, what do you think about the experienced roster or the 5-star freshman roster? Experience is proven it a lot of times in the tourney. And it's a very good point, and this was one of the initial points that I leaned on. But the more I think about this, Matt, and I think we've talked through this, yes, Kentucky has a lot of experienced guys. They got a lot of older guys. But I don't think you can discount some of the older guys on Duke's team have been in big games too. But it's also one of those where it's like, do we really look at Cooper Flagg, as a freshman, right? I mean, he's so good. And yes, he is a freshman. You see what I'm saying? Like, obviously age-wise he is. But, oh, man, I mean, I still don't know that I look at him as your traditional freshman. Like, he's an NBA-ready type guy. And so even though we do value the experience in college, you still can't discount, I think. You can't go all the way with experience, Max, just because you also have some players that are just so friggin' talented that, they're going to do what they do. So
I think it's an angle. It's an angle to the game. I think it might play a factor, but to really lean into it and to have that be like your entire, reasoning for, Kentucky's going to win. They're older. I don't think it, not that much. Don't put that much weight into it. You tried that.
I tried that, but I backtracked. So we'll see.
Yeah, because I mean, even when you try that angle, I mean, Mason Gillis just played in the national championship game like 6 months ago. So Duke's got some guys that have been there too. I mean, Malik Brown just started an entire season in the ACC, and he's coming off the bench. So, but the one angle where it might work, though, you have Pope running these sets. The ball's whipping around the perimeter. They're late closeout, shot fake, and now there's another guy open, whipping it around. You're getting open shots. Do the young freshmen for Duke start to, get a little snappy? Do they start snapping at each other? Now they're a little bit worried. Who knows? Or they, I don't know. They might be, Cooper Flagg might just, put a grit on his face, go and slam dunk it, and now he's pissed off. And there you go. So it's an angle, it is an angle you can work with, but don't put too much weight into it.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like you said, it's part of the context of the game, but it really can go either way here. Like, we could see the experience win out for Kentucky, and Duke's freshmen just hit a wall here, and you're like, uh-oh, they're not ready for this just yet, although I don't know that I agree with that, but we'll see how it plays out.
Right.
It could happen. Either scenario could play out here. So, we'll see how it goes. But a couple other things. Yeah, I know there were some questions here. All right, Max, MVP of the game. Cameron wants to know, who's going to be an MVP for Kentucky in this one?
Amari Williams. Gotta be. I mean, he's going to be, with the way Duke attacks the rim, man, he's going to have to have a game.
I'm going to give you a different answer. I'm going to go Lamont Butler, because I think that Lamont Butler's the guy that, not just from a scoring standpoint, I think he's the one that if it all works out, he's the person who keeps it all together for Kentucky to withstand some of those runs from Duke that are inevitable in a game like this. If he can get them locked in defensively and they're still able to hit shots, he's going to be the guy that's running the offense. He's going to be the guy defensively that puts it all together. So I'll say if Kentucky
keep them steady.
Yeah, I'm going to say he's the most important guy maybe in this game for Kentucky to keep everybody kind of at that even keel here for a game like this. So, all right, we'll wrap up with this one.
We both picked two defensive guys.
Yes, we did. It's important against Duke. You got to play defense for sure. All right, Max, you got any player props for Kentucky today?
Oh, goodness gracious. I haven't even looked. Guys, with the production responsibilities that I have here now, last year I was writing articles for Clutch Points and putting a ton of time into it. I just don't have the time right now.
SEC play. We'll have daily Max's prop of the day. A lot of them will involve Janai Broome making threes, but for now,
they're on to us now. They're on to us.
So. They're on to it. They're moving that number quite a bit. I think I've seen a lot of the SEC lines shift based on our videos here. But, anyways. All right, guys. We're going to keep it short and sweet here for this one. Again, go check out the Kentucky Duke preview. We did that almost 20 minutes previewing that game. Here's our initial plan. Okay, Max?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
For tonight. All right. We're doing – I think we should do the same thing we did with Auburn. All right? Although this may be a little bit different. If Kentucky wins tonight, if they beat Duke, Max and I will try to stay up late and go live for 15, 20 minutes after the game, get some immediate thoughts, and then maybe discuss it a little bit more tomorrow. If Duke wins tonight, we are probably not going to go live tonight. We will probably wait and save it for tomorrow morning, Max. You okay with that pact?
If Kentucky wins tonight, we're going live 100,000%.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just want to make sure you're all in on that before I put you into that. So, all right, that's the plan. Kentucky wins. We'll see you later tonight. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning. And we'll talk about the other games on Tuesday. As we said, there are some other games going down as well. But we appreciate you guys watching as always. Check out everything. Shout out to Matt as well. Yeah, hey, thanks for joining us, Matt. We're going to be doing a lot of these live streams this year.
Sweet.
So be sure to hop on. Big baller Brad. Let's go, Cats. All right. See you tonight, Mother Carol. Appreciate you guys. As always, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well on your way out, and check out everything else we got on the channel. Kentucky Duke preview, SEC basketball power rankings, SEC football power rankings, all the football preview videos for the upcoming weekend's games are there. A ton of stuff. So check it out. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Southeastern 16.